everyone. So today I went to go see The Daily Show with Trevor Noah, which was so much fun. It's the second or third time I've gone, and it was a lot of fun as usual. And what they talked about today was good and evil, because one of the actors from Assassin's Creed was on. So they talked about good and evil and how the assassins were actually the good guys because they were killing the people who were trying to end free will. And basically Trevor Noah just said, that's fucked up to that. So I was just thinking about good and evil and kind of how I felt during the election about how even though I was voting for Clinton, she didn't deserve my vote, and how she was the best there is, but she wasn't inherently good, and kind of how BS that is. I mean, she still got my vote, and my vote is my vote, regardless of how much I liked her, but it's BS to not remember that people are flawed, and that people are looking out for themselves, and that people who seem evil may not be, and people who are evil may not seem evil, and how evil is also just kind of a BS concept in general. Everyone's a little bit evil. Everyone's looking out for themselves and only themselves a little bit. I know I am, even though I consider myself a charitable person and someone who tries to be kind to others. I know that there's a big part of me that is just like, screw everyone, I'm out for myself. And a lot of people are like that. And that's not necessarily evil, even though it can be considered evil. And trying to make money isn't something that is inherently evil, even though it can seem inherently evil. And being rich may not be inherently evil, even though it is seen as evil. And I was just thinking about just how BS the concept of good versus evil is. And whenever I think of good versus evil, my brain obviously goes back to Harry Potter and, you know, the struggle between Harry and Voldemort. But we don't have a Voldemort. Voldemort doesn't exist. He's a fictional character. And even then, we got a backstory that was pretty tragic for Tom Riddle, even though it doesn't excuse his evilness. A lot of people like to think Donald Trump is evil, and I think so too. But we have to remember that his supporters aren't necessarily evil. They may just be looking out for themselves, and whether or not you consider that evil, it's not, because you do it too. Maybe to a lesser degree, but you do it too. I think evil is just a lot harder to discern in today's environment and today's political environment, because it may seem evil that Hillary deleted all of her emails and then they had to get them back and whatever. But also, to Rita Skeeter, it may seem evil that Hermione held her hostage in a little mason jar as a ladybug for a while. If we keep seeing both sides as inherently evil, if one side keeps seeing the other as inherently evil, there is no way to move forward unless we assassinate someone. And I don't want people to die. The thing is, it's not that I don't think there isn't evil in the world. When you look at what is going on in Aleppo, evil is occurring and people are being killed, but I don't think it's people that are evil, it's their actions that are evil. And we have to do everything in our power to stop those evil actions from occurring, but we still have to imagine people complexly and realize that they are human too. And I think especially with Donald Trump, we have to realize that he is a human being, someone who I believe is an awful, terrible human being who has only his interests at heart, and he represents the worst in humanity, but he is still a member of that humanity. And we have to remember that, and we have to remember that when we are acting, and we have to remember that when he is acting, and we have to remember that because those actions are coming from a human being, we as human beings are able to counteract those actions with our own actions. And yeah, that's just what I've been thinking about lately. bit of a rambly, reflective video today, but you know, that's just my mood. Okay, I will see you tomorrow with a new video. Bye!